Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome back to another session on the practicing in this Microsoft Flight Simulator. As you can tell, we are here flying our beloved King Air 350i, and we are going to Conakry. So this time I'm gonna practice an ILS approach. So I'm in a direct route to Conakry. So let's go ahead and load an approach and arrival here. So I'm gonna zoom in into our instruments, press split here, select procedures, and initially I want an arrival, and I'm gonna select the arrival Mina 1 Delta for runway 6, and I'm gonna go ahead and load that. And now the airplane is turning automatically towards MINAV for the MINAV arrival. So if we take a look at the map here, that's where we are. We were coming straight ahead directly to Conakry, and we will be doing the MINAV, which is the MINAV 1 Delta here. So that's the plan, going from MINAV to this point here. And from there, we will plan the approach, which will be the ILS Yankee for runway 6 from Dilot. So that is the plan. We go MINAV, do the standard arrival from MINAV to this point here, Dilot. And from Dilot, we will do the arrival. So if we take a look at the charts, then this is what we are doing here. The MINAV to Dilot, nothing much to it, just a straight segment. And then from Dilot we will do the ILS Yankee to runway 6. So we are coming from MINAV here to Dilot, then we will turn in a base, kind of a left base for runway 6 to Bilam, and then from Bilam we will intercept the final approach course for runway 6. So we will not worry about the frequencies or communication. We need to check the 110.3, which is the approach frequency for our ILS. So I'm gonna do that right now. Going to map here, select nav1 frequency and 110.3 transfer. So now we will have 110.3 as the active frequency for nav1. And in nav2, I would like to have the VOR, which we have here as well. So let's go ahead again for our chart. The VOR is 114.9. So let's do that, 114.9er and transfer. So now I have in nav2 the VOR and in nav1 the ILS. So I'm gonna cancel this. Okay, and go into select the pointers here, so I can tell. Let me synchronize the heading. I don't like to see the heading when it's not synchronized. There we go. So click here to check the pointers. Pointer 1, I'm gonna let that towards the GPS. Pointer 2, I'm gonna use that to nav2, which is the VOR. Yep, that's how we like it. So as we can tell here, we are going direct from MINAV to Dilot as per the approach, and then we will do the ILS. So we need to load that in. So I'm gonna select here procedures. So we have the arrival selected. Now I need to load the approach. So I'm gonna go ahead and approach ILS 6 Yankee and from Dilot, and I'm gonna load that. Okay, so now if I check my flight plan, we are currently going from MINAV to Dilot, but after we get to Dilot, we're going to Gucci, which is Conakry, but that is not really what I wanted. I want from DLOT to go for the ILS approach, and that is a little bit before that. So under this title here, approach ILS 6 Yankee, that is the one that goes from DLOT to BLAM to Charlie Yankee 501, which is the final approach fix. This Charlie Yankee 501, that's our glide slope intercept course at 2,000 feet, and then to runway 6. So that is correct, and the missed approach is missing. All the missed approaches are missing in Flight Simulator yet. All right, so it's not gonna work if we leave it like it is right now, because from the lot it's gonna turn to the airport, and that's not what we want. So what we need to do, we need to activate the approach. Why we can activate the approach now? Because we're going to the lot, and the lot is the same first waypoint here of the approach. So that's why we can activate the approach now. So once you are going to the initial point in your approach, that's when you can activate your approach. So we're going for that to procedures again, and activate the approach here. There we go. So now if we take a look at the flight plan, we can tell that we are not in this area anymore of the arrival. Now we are in this area of the approach, and we can tell that we are going direct to the lot. This user here, I don't know who came up with this user waypoint. It doesn't work like that in the real world, but well, anyway. So we can tell that we are going direct to the lot, and from the lot we will go to BLAM, and then we will go to the final approach fix or point, and then to the runway. So we have to maintain 2,000 feet at the final approach point. We are currently at 7,000 feet, and we have about 4 minutes to descend to the lot plus the rest. So I think we can start descent now. So let me select this back to full. All right, so let's start our descent. For that, let's select 2,000 feet here. Minus 5,000. Come on, this is too. Okay, so 2,000 feet, I'm gonna go vertical speed, and I'm gonna select the 100 feet a minute initially, and also I'm gonna start reducing power. Okay, so now I am starting my approach sequence, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn the landing lights on. And yeah, how are the conditions? The conditions are good. We don't need we could select the anti-ice just to turn the inertial separator, just because it's raining a lot, so we want to avoid as much as possible water ingestion into the turbine. And yeah, so we have 3 minutes. We are descending 800 feet a minute. Yeah, that should work, and let's start reducing. The rest looks okay for now. So we have the frequency, the minima. We cannot select the minima in this airplane yet. That's another one of the multiple bugs that we are seeing right now in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hopefully they will correct at some point, but for now we cannot select minima in this King Air. So let's take a look at the chart one more time. So we're going to the lot BLAM to the final approach point, where we have to be at 2,000 feet for intercept of the localizer. The frequency is set. The final approach course is also automatically set once you select the frequency, the ILS frequency. And we need to identify that it's Charlie Kilo Yankee, and we will do that once we change this. Actually, we can see if we already have any signal from that. Nav1, okay. So as you can tell, yeah, Charlie Kilo Yankee is identified already, and Golf India Alpha, that is our VOR. So both stations are identified and are good to use. So we are good in that sense. We can tell that we don't have a DME from the ILS, but we have a DME from the VOR, and all the DMEs here are are based on the VOR. So for instance, the final approach point here, Charlie Yankee 501, is at 5.9 DME. So that will be from this VOR here. And at that point, we have to be at 2,000 feet and we have to intercept the glide slope. Minima will be 268, let's call it 270. And that is it. Airport elevation is 71 feet. For the missed approach, climb on runway heading to Charlie Yankee 502, which is basically 5 miles from Charlie Yankee here, from 5 miles from the VOR, I assume. And then right turn, climbing to 2000 to Agrel, to this point here. So that is for our missed approach. Alright, so that is the chart. We are descending through 4,300 down to 2,000. And let's see, I'm gonna increase my descent a little bit more, 1,000 feet a minute. And we are in a correct speed for flaps approach now, so I'm gonna go ahead. No, actually I can still wait a little bit more for that. Once we are in base turn, I will select, once we are capturing the glide, that will be the perfect moment to select flaps approach and gear down. And yeah, I can tell that the glide slope is start to come up now. We always have to try to capture the glide slope from below and not from above. So that's gonna work very well. So I'm gonna start reducing to 800 feet per minute our descent, and maybe even more to 700 feet per minute. Actually, let me do it 600, even 500 feet a minute here, our descent. So let's see how that works. So now we are already below the glide, so we are correct for capturing the glide. And we are just about to turn, right there. We are turning now to position VLAN. So if we refer to the chart here, we are turning base basically, or from DLOT to VLAN. So that's good. That's about 5 miles, and that's correct, 5 miles, and it will take us about 2 minutes to get there. All right, so now let me synchronize the heading back here. And we are about to go 3,000 to 2,000. 2,000 is our platform altitude basically, where we will intercept the glide. Alright, so once we are, right now we are in FMS guidance. The autopilot is following the FMS. So once we start the turn, that's when we have the ILS frequency identified. We have the frequency selected here. So once we start the turn, we can change from FMS to VOR. So that's what we will do. We are 2 miles. We are just about to turn here, and once we turn in, we will change to the ILS frequency. All right, everything looks good so far. Resynchronize the heading back. I don't know why every time I press the synchronize button, that's something here in the display. That's not how it should work. Okay, here we go here as well to have a better picture of what's going on. So we are turning. So I'm gonna change this source to localizer, and now you can tell localizer is already captured, and we can altitude is selected to capture at 2,000 feet as well. So once we capture altitude, we will arm the glide slope. So we overshoot here just a little bit, as you can tell here, but we will go back to our final approach course. And we need to check our final approach point here at 5.9 DME. So there we go, we are back on track. Synchronize our heading back. Okay, we're captured 2000 feet. I'm gonna arm approach mode. So now we have localizer active and glide slope armed. Once we have one dot, I will select flaps and gear, flaps approach and gear. And once we are passing 1500, I will go with full flaps. So there we go. Now we have glide slope alive. And that reminds you to arm if it's not already armed. So now it's already armed, so it should capture automatically. Now we have one dot. We are one dot up above, so I'm gonna select flaps approach mode and indicated. I'm gonna select gear down and indicated ground down 3 green. Okay, so and as you can tell, we've captured the localizer. Missed approach altitude is 2000 feet as well. That's very important once you capture the glide slope to set the missed approach altitude, which in this case is 2000 feet, so that's already set there. The only thing that's missing here is the minima. Again, let's refresh our memory. Minima is 270 for a Cat 1 approach. All right, so passing 1500, we are at the correct speed to select full flaps. And selecting now full flaps and indicated flaps are down. And now we'll set the power to maintain about 115 knots. That's what I'm gonna use for this, between 110 and 150. And that's it. So now we are start to come out of the clouds. I still cannot see the runway, so let's see. We should be able to identify the runway soon. We are passing 1000 feet. We are stable. Stable means we are on the localizer, we are on the glide slope, we are the correct speed, we are the correct power setting, the flaps are in the landing position, the gear is down, and the checklists are complete. Okay, now I can see the runway here. This runway is very poorly lit. It doesn't have any approach lights or anything, but I can tell the runway is there already. So that's it. So I'm going ahead and disconnect the autopilot and continue manually. And disconnect the yaw damper as well. And with that, we are fully ready. All right, 500. We are still stabilized on localizer, on glide, on speed. If that destabilizes at any point, we will do a go around. Okay, now we will continue visually using our aiming points, the aiming marks, and start reducing power to idle slowly. Okay, power idle now, and start the flare here gently. There we go. And lower the nose gently as well. There we go. Okay. I still have not figured out how to select the reverse pitch, the reverse axis on my controls here. So I'm not using reverse. I'm just using manual braking here. And I think, yeah, we have an exit approaching, and we will use that to exit towards the left side. We'll do nothing. I've seen many people doing a lot of stuff while they're still in the runway, in the active runway. Normally we do nothing. We do nothing until we are very clear of the active, and these are the markings that means that we are clear of the active runway now, and we are safely in the taxiway. So now is when we can do all the after landing procedures. So I will go with flaps up, I will go with the landing lights off, taxi lights on, I will set the strobe lights off, I reset the stabilizer trim, etc. And do my after landing checks. I will set the condition levers to low idle as well, and do my after landing checks. And well, that's it, my friends. I hope you've liked this ILS approach in the beautiful Kinner 350. As you can tell, still a few things missing in the simulation, still a few things that are not really working how they should, but we can go around those and still enjoy this airplane. So I hope you like it. I would appreciate any comments if you like, if you didn't, and any questions that you may have, or any ideas for the next video, what you would like to see. And see you the next time. As always, like and subscribe. Thank you. Till next time.